Welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep today into leadership, but not the kind that makes you roll your eyes.
Definitely not.
This is about the kind of leadership that makes people want to follow you, like light them up. And we've got some really interesting insights for this deep dive.
Yeah, this person we're looking at today, they're like really passionate about this stuff.
Yeah, and get this, they even admit, like early in their career, they thought leadership was about having all the answers, never show weakness, right?
I know that type.
But then they had this realization it's all about the journey, always striving to be better.
Not perfect.
Right. Not perfect, just better every single day.
You never stop learning.
It's like the second you think you know everything, you're done. And if you're not growing, how can you possibly lead others to grow, right?
Couldn't agree more. That desire to learn, to, constantly be digging deeper, that's where it all starts.
And here's something that I think is so important. It's the small things. The way you treat every single person.
Exactly. It doesn't matter if they're the CEO or emptying the trash.
Exactly. Recognizing everyone's humanity.
All that.
And owning your mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Not trying to hide them, but stepping up and saying, yep, that was me. That sets a powerful example, doesn't it?
Huge. It creates a culture where everyone feels safe to, own up when they mess up and learn from it.
And celebrating other people's wins. Like really being happy for them as if it were your own victory.
Their success is your success. You're all in this together.
Now, this next one I love. It's leading from any position. It doesn't matter what your title is. You can make a difference wherever you are.
It really flips the script on that whole, top-down leadership thing.
Right. And to prove this point, there's this incredible story about a janitor.
Oh, yeah.
Who became a role model for an entire company.
This guy, he took so much pride in what he did, knew everyone's name, always a smile. He even started organizing, volunteer events. It's amazing.
He wasn't a manager or anything.
Nope.
But his energy, it shifted the whole company culture.
So powerful.
Leadership really asks about who you are, how you show up every day.
And speaking of how you show up, self-awareness is huge, right? Knowing your strengths, but also those weaknesses.
Yeah. There's this story about someone who used to think they had to be right all the time.
Oh, yeah. And it was really stifling creativity on their team.
Exactly. No one wanted to speak up. But then they had this colleague, really brave colleague, who pointed it out.
Good for them.
And it was a turning point. For that moment on, they decided to really listen, be open to, maybe they weren't always right.
That's huge.
And it transformed everything, not just their leadership, but their whole life.
You've got to be open to being wrong sometimes.
It's a big one, for sure. Okay, now, they also talk about the power of a vivid vision.
Ooh, yeah.
Not just having an idea, but really believing in it so strongly it becomes contagious.
Seeing the possibilities, even when everyone else is telling you it's impossible.
There's this young entrepreneur, everyone told her she was crazy. Her business idea was a pipe dream, but she just kept pushing forward, never gave up. And eventually, people started to see what she saw.
I love those stories.
Now her company is thriving. A powerful vision can overcome anything.
It really can.
Okay, let's talk about something non-negotiable. Integrity. It's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Doing the right thing, even when no one's watching.
And they contrast two CEOs. One compromised his values when things got tough, and it destroyed trust in the company.
Yeah, you can't recover from that.
The other CEO, though, they led by example, even when it meant personal sacrifice.
And you know what? Integrity sees you through those tough times.
It's not always the easy path, but it's the right path. Now, leadership's not just about, tough decisions. It's about empathy, too. Understanding what makes people tick, their fears, their aspirations.
Creating an environment where they can really thrive.
They even give this example. There's this manager, all tough, zero empathy. His team was miserable, productivity was down, people were quitting left and right.
Yeah.
But then you've got this other manager, and she really took the time to listen to her team, understand their challenges.
What a difference.
Her team would walk through fire for her. Productivity was through the roof, tons of new ideas. It's amazing what happens when people feel seen, heard, and valued. Okay, ready for another big one? Never stop learning.
Ooh, yes. Especially in today's world.
Right. Leaders have to be adaptable, curious, committed to learning.
Absolutely.
And they illustrate it with this example. There's a CEO who just refused to adapt to the digital age.
Oh, no.
His company, it just became obsolete.
Wow.
And you've got this other leader in their 60s, but always looking for new knowledge, new trends. And it wasn't just for them. It created this ripple effect throughout the whole organization. They even had these Curiosity Fridays. Everyone spent the afternoon learning something new.
I love that.
The results were incredible. Productivity soared, new ideas everywhere. People were excited to come to work. It's brilliant, right?
It really is.
Okay, another essential quality, humility. Not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself LS.
There's a difference.
Big difference.
Yeah.
There's this CEO. His company had a record-breaking year. Everyone thought he was going to brag at the annual meeting, but
He didn't.
he talked about how they could have done better. He thanked everyone, every department, every single person. He made it clear this wasn't the finish line, you know?
Wow, so humble.
And it was contagious. Everyone wanted to work even harder to achieve even more.
That's powerful.
Humility is so much more motivating than arrogance, and it creates an environment where people feel appreciated. Okay, all these qualities lead to one essential ability: to inspire. Real leadership isn't about forcing people to do things. It's about making them want to do them.
I'm inspiring them.
They share this great story about a project leader with a totally demoralized team facing an impossible deadline.
Oh, I've been there.
He reminded everyone why their work mattered, the real-world impact it would have. He connected their efforts to a larger purpose, and boom, the whole team's energy shifted. They hit that impossible deadline because they were inspired to.
That's the kind of leader you want to work for.
It reminds me of this incredible history teacher I had. He brought history to life, challenged us to think critically, and most importantly,
He believed in you.
he did. He saw potential in every student, even when we didn't see it in ourselves.
That's a gift.
It really is. Okay, last but not least, something this source really emphasizes: building strong relationships. Leadership is all about people.
At the end of the day, it is.
Really understanding the people you lead, connecting with them on a human level. They argue you can have the best strategy in the world, but if you can't connect with people...
You're not going anywhere.
Exactly. They talk about really getting to know your team, not just as employees, but as human beings, their hopes, their fears, their dreams. And breaking down those silos, encouraging collaboration. There's this great example, a leader who made it a point to know everyone in the company, from the CEO to the mailroom staff. Always connecting, building those relationships.
That's impressive.
And when it came time to collaborate across departments, things just went so much smoother because of that foundation of trust. It's a great example of how strong relationships make for a stronger organization. But building those relationships doesn't mean being everyone's best friend.
Right.
Sometimes you have to have tough conversations or make hard
For
decisions.
sure.
But when you've invested in those relationships, even those tough conversations can be handled with respect.
Absolutely.
They also highlight the importance of being reliable, keeping your word, following through on your commitments. They share an example of this brilliant leader full of great ideas, but just totally unreliable. And as a result, his effectiveness just crumbled. It's a good reminder about consistency.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here, from self-awareness and vision to integrity, empathy, and relationships. But there's one more piece. Authenticity. Being genuine, being yourself, is one of the most powerful things you can do as a leader.
Especially in today's world.
They've seen leaders who try to put on this different persona at work, thinking that's what it takes.
But people see right through that.
Totally. And it just erodes trust. They contrast that with leaders who are comfortable in their own skin. They know their strengths, acknowledge their weaknesses, and aren't afraid to be vulnerable. They even share a story about a time they made a big mistake early in their career.
Ooh, everyone's been there.
They were tempted to cover it up, but instead, they went to their boss and owned it.
Good for them.
And their boss, get this, actually thanked them for their honesty. Vulnerability can actually strengthen trust.
They also talk about consistency, making sure your actions align with your words. There's this company with work-life balance as a core value. But the CEO was always emailing at all hours, expecting instant replies.
Oh, the hypocrisy.
And the message was clear. Their values didn't mean much. That kind of disconnect creates cynicism. Okay, so authenticity, integrity, empathy, strong relationships, we've covered a lot. What does all this mean for you? What kind of leader are you, or do you want to be? Which of these points really resonated with you?
It's a lot to think about.
It is. We'll be back in a moment to keep exploring these ideas and how you can put them into action. Stick with us.
Think about authenticity. It's not about being perfect, is it?
No way. Not about having all the answers or, never messing up.
In fact, admitting when you don't know something can actually be like a really strong leadership move.
Right. Shows you're human. And being open to feedback, even when it's tough to hear, that's huge.
Totally. It shows your team it's okay to be human, to make mistakes, and to learn from them.
They even talk about sharing their own learning experiences with their team. Being open about the challenges they face, you know.
Because that kind of vulnerability, it just opens everything up, makes people feel safe to take risks, share their ideas, ask for help.
Creates that culture of continuous learning we were talking about.
Yeah.
Which is so important these days. Everything's changing so fast.
Exactly.
And this source, they're big on creating a work environment where people feel